All right, so I have restarted the live. I am not sure if it is that you are able to hear. If you cannot hear, please let me know. All right, so I'm just going to post this in Facebook. Let's see here. Um, let's see. All right, so okay, let me see if all right, so this live has sound. All right, so I think this live works. I think you are able to hear me in this live. All right, so just continuing from where we are, or probably I should just restart. Okay, so today is Father's Day, as we all know. And if you want to send greetings to your father during the live, just you can text me, or you can, in addition to which, you can put it in the live. I will send greetings. So thanks, Suzette. Thanks for letting me know that you can hear me. All right. So I don't think Nicola is here as yet. All right, so let's see. You tell her. All right, so for those of you who are able to join us, initially we were in fact focusing on divorces. And this is where the city, if you are filing for a divorce in New York City, it is really taking a long time. When I say a long time, it is taking a year plus. And for if you have children, it is even taking longer. And I'll show you the difference between New York City and filing your divorce in the suburbs. I have a gentleman who the divorce was pending for over a year, pending for over a year in Queens County. And he's getting married, and so far I think possibly it's gonna cost him like 20,000. He put down a substantial deposit, and if he's not able to get his judgment, of course he has to change the date. He may not be able to get the venue. All the monies he has spent, he probably would not have been able to, you know, get back funds and so forth. So we are here trying to see if we can hasten it. One of the reasons that you can, if you're waiting on your judgment for it to come through speedily, and that is your judgment of divorce. If you're waiting on your judgment of divorce and you're trying to get the judgment issued quickly, if you're able to show like you're getting remarried and so forth, then you would just provide this. So we call the clerk, and the clerk was like, oh, we have to do a motion, so forth. This is just even going to delay things further. So we therefore call the judge's clerk, and thankfully, it was able to proceed for him to get an expeditious judgment. I'm going to show you now the difference with the suburbs. I have another client where, because we know we needed this judgment, and the reason we needed this judgment is when you're doing your 751s, which is where you're looking to remove your conditions, and it is clear that your spouse. And these applications are, in fact, taking such a long time for them to be adjudicated, right? And some people are waiting 3, 4. The longest I've ever had to wait with a client was about 5 years. She had filed it by herself. They did a requisition. We responded to the requisition, and this case was still pending. By this time, the relationship had broken down, and she's like, Antoinette, I'm just going to file. I can't wait any longer. And she found him a place. She put him out. She found him a room to rent. It was her house. He had come to, she had filed for him. He had moved in with her, and the relationship broke down. And she came to me. We fulfilled the requisition. After submitting the response for the evidence, this thing was just, it was just still pending, right? By this time now, their relationship has broken down. She's like, look, I'm going to divorce him, right? And at this point, I want to move on with my life. She's like, we get along very well, but unfortunately, she just wants a divorce. So they had filed the application jointly. And at this point, years now after filing, their marriage just broke down. She just didn't think he was the right fit for her. She didn't want to continue with the relationship anymore. So she wanted out. But remember, the application for the removal of conditions has in fact been filed, right? Bear with me 1 second. So having been filed, this thing is pending, and it's pending as a joint application. But no, she's not waiting. She's not waiting on them to make a decision. She wants to move on with her life. She wants out. She just, at this point, she's done, right? The marriage was just not the right fit for her. She didn't feel that they got along anymore, and she's not going to remain in a marriage just to facilitate his application. So she filed a divorce and she divorced him. So by this time, and this is where you do have the option, if it is that you have filed jointly and your marriage has broken down into a divorce, as long as immigration is aware as to the change of circumstances. So they called him in, and of course, it's just the client, the husband, and myself, right? She was my client, and she was like, Antoinette, just continue the case for him because I know you'll help him. Just continue. She didn't mind. She's like, there's no conflict here. We just don't get along. She gave me all the necessary documents to continue facilitating his application, which by now has changed into a self-petition. So we go into the interview, and of course, you have to tell the officer there's a change in circumstances. The parties are now divorced. So he is continuing on a hardship, which is his divorce. So he is in the position where he's just filing by himself now. So we went in and we presented the documents. And he went into the fact that, she just said not working no more. She wants to move on with her life, and she wants a divorce. And he was like, she found me a place to live. She put me out. She found me a place to live. And even though we are divorced, he still does everything for her. They get along fine. It's just that she didn't want to be married anymore. So he explained all of this to the officer. We presented the documents because he's like, if he's getting certain items at the supermarket or wherever, he would call her and he's like, look, I'm getting this. Do you want any of this? So they're nearly living like they were in the same house, but they're not. Remember, she put him out. She found in my room. She said, come, you're moving out. She moved all his stuff. He didn't have a choice, right? Because that was the personality of my client. He didn't have a choice. So she just moved him out. and she moved him into, she ensured that he paid for the room, paid whatever monies that was necessary to secure the place, and that was it. They are divorced, but they get along fine. So he explained everything. She provided me with an affidavit. She provided me with the documents, the continued documents that they had after we had sent in the requisition, and his case was approved. So the fact that you are divorced and you haven't gotten your 10-year card, do not think that it is the end of the world, right? You can still look to remove your conditions based on a divorce. So let's fast forward now to my other client. His wife was just a mess. This girl was just a mess. So we went into the interview, and divorce was something throughout these proceedings, because as a result of her behavior, certain people sit down in certain situations bearing it. Some people hope that their marriage will get better, and it is not, right? And you in yourself have to know when it is that you are winning in your marriage and when you are losing. And if it is that the relationship has broken down, where it's just a disrespectful scenario, this is your everyday life. Every day it is so offensive, it is so humiliating, and you are in a position where your spouse has taken it upon themselves that they are going to constantly degrade you. I don't think, personally, for me, that would not be a healthy environment. I am a no nonsense person. So somebody like me, I'm not staying. I'm out. Uh, for my client, it was something that I had a discussion with him. I encouraged him. I said, look, if at this point your relationship continues like this, you're going to have to end up filing for a divorce. And you counsel and you let them know you can continue your application as a divorced spouse. So lo and behold, he didn't even get a requisition. They just called him in. And what we did was we filed for the divorce before he actually went in. And so we had these summons. And when we went in, he gave his testimony to the officer. She looked at the documents, and she's like, okay, so he's filing as a divorce spouse. I just have a summons. I need a judgment. Now, he was taking his own sweet time, where I had encouraged him, let's just file the divorce. He didn't want to. Now, because the relationship has broken down and it is so hostile, there's no way this is going in and continuing as a joint filing. So we had to file the divorce, and the question is now where to file. Yeah? Because the officer said I have a certain number of time that I can give him. If I have to wait on New York City to issue the divorce, even with trying to call to say this is urgent, yeah, it's going to take a while. The requisitions that are coming now, most of them are not coming for 87 days. And the officer will tell you certain requisitions, they can't give the 87 days. And most of the requisitions that I'm getting now are like 30 days. So where do I go? And I used to file in Westchester County because I'm like, all right, you're going to get your judgment pretty quickly. But what I find with Westchester was that Westchester, on what appears to be a simple divorce, sometimes will just call you in. And I remember going there a few weeks ago, and I said to the judge, I don't know why we're here. This is a simple, uncontested divorce. But where in the city you can put certain reliefs, and the judges in the city are okay with it. Westchester is not like that. They want a complete resolution signed off on both parties when it comes to children. I have had even an uncontested divorce with no kids. And I was seeking a certain relief, and all of a sudden they're calling us into court. And this is madness. This is complete madness. And I reached out to the referee and I'm like, why is this set for this? This is what we're seeking. So I said, okay, you have to, time is against you. You just come from the interview. You need a judgment fast. And we went to a certain county, and I'll tell you this. When we explained why we needed this quickly, that divorce was signed in a day. What? A day, right? It's like, it seems that certain counties understand the need for urgency. And I couldn't believe it. I think we filed in the morning, and it was either that same evening or the following morning it was issued. Like, these people read the papers, they see the need for this is an urgent situation. Yeah. So we were able to get the judgment and we sent it off. Now we're waiting, right? And I will tell you this. Not every marriage is going to last. When you go into it, you hope that it will in fact last, but not every marriage is going to last. And there are certain situations that people will sit in, they will in fact continue in the degradation, the disrespect, and people will stay for years in a very, to me, an uncomfortable situation. We not do it. Yeah. And one of the hardest things for me is where I am actually divorcing someone who has been married for 30 years or even 40 years. That for me is devastating, because at this point in your life, how are you going to start over life now? And I don't know if anyone, because of my job, there are certain experiences that I have been exposed to. I know for me, going into these homes where, especially for females, they are living in that house alone. Some of them are absolutely terrified. Yeah. So my take on this is, if you are in a marriage and it is clearly not working out, one of the hardest things or hardest battles you're going to face is where you spent years with someone, and then after spending 30 plus years, this person is looking at divorce. At this point, I think there should be an opposition till death do you part. After so long, like, where are you going? You know, like, really and truly, where are you going? I know for me, especially with long marriages, I encourage my clients, try and see if you can work it out. Try and see if you can go to counseling. Because to throw away so much, and I'll tell anyone this, the longer you're married is the more you're going to, for assets that can be qualified as marital property, the more you're going to lose. And I remember hearing this doctor say that his wife said she's done, she's tired. And he said at that point, all that he heard was, I'm leaving. She didn't say this, but this is what he's hearing. I'm leaving. I'm taking the kids, and you're going to be losing basically half of what you have. And he's like, no, we're working this out. Yeah. So some people, in an effort to make their marriages work, will invest and change the path that they're going on. And sometimes you have to go in the driver's seat. You have to, in fact, look to change course. Because when you lose your position in the driver's seat and someone else is running your life and you're heading down a path of destruction, if you don't go back into the driver's seat, and this is what happens in a lot of marriages, if you don't head back in the driver's seat, you are going to lose. But like I said, not every marriage is going to last. Not every marriage is going to work out. And at some point, you have to divorce. I divorced people as far as Afghanistan. I've divorced people as far as Africa. Yeah. I don't think there's not a continent that I have not divorced someone where their spouse is living in New York, right? Not to mention the islands, right? Haiti, Trinidad, Guyana, oh, not to mention Jamaica. Yeah, but it happens. Not everything lasts. And I would encourage anyone who is looking to get a divorce, forget about the emotional aspect of it in terms of pointing fingers, get your money. Focus on that, because what a lot of people don't realize is when your household is divided and you're starting life by yourself, what is happening is your expenses going forward are no longer shared, as a result of which you need your money. You absolutely need, and especially if you're living in New York and just anywhere generally, I think nationwide, everywhere is sustaining inflation. So to just walk away without that security, and this is why people are not walking away from their spouse's pension. If it is that they have an interest in the home, they're not walking away from that interest because they cannot afford a single household. And the way how society is right now, it's expensive. And to be a single person, if you can't sustain it, sometimes that's when you pick up the wrong people to assist you. But this is where people are at. And you have to prepare yourself, right? I've had people that I know personally in my life where they have decided they have enough. They're not staying with you anymore. I know one person in particularly, and anyone would know this who is in a relationship. You're in a relationship and them start act upon you. So you are in your relationship and you start get styling. No, nothing that you do is good enough anymore. So this is an indication to you that is when somebody new has come into the picture, right? The styling don't stop. And what she did was she realized what was going on. So what she did was, in the same marital home, she got another place, taking her time, furnishing it, building up the apartment. And one day he came home, she was no longer there. That's it. Some people know how to move in silence. And this has happened to a lot of people where they come home and their spouse is no longer there. Sick, tired, disgusted, time to move on, right? And it is what it is. It is a situation now where a lot of people are no longer going to be putting up with nonsense. And I think after COVID, it was determined that you have one life to live. Life is precious. For those of you who have lost people during COVID, you will understand this. Life is precious, and certain sacrifices you're just not going to make, and you're not going to stay with someone who has made your life a living hell. So it is what it is. But what can I tell you? In life, and you cannot look for someone to make you happy. You have to make your own self happy. That's it is what it is. But what can I tell you? um all right, so bear with me 1 second. Let me see. All right, so just Miss Osborne, Pauline is saying, good morning, Miss Osborne and family. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the platform. That's true. Just a reminder, wishing all the fathers a happy Father's Day. If you are married, I hope you are, in fact, doing something special for your spouse or your own father, or people call it partner. I don't know. Why buy the cow when you can't get the milk? But it is not my business. It is not my business to be in your life. Oh, yeah, but this people try and get some legal rights, especially where you live in New York and New York does not recognize common law. Try and get the person to marry you so you can get some economic rights, exercise some legal rights, right? Uh, what you have to realize is that with long term marriages, you are coming out 50-50. Yeah. And this is where women who you get entangled with married men, they're not going to leave their wives for you, because the whole concept of a divorce oftentimes means that they are losing out on assets, and as a result of which things they have worked truly hard for. And if it is that the wife is a housewife and it is a very long marriage, a substantial amount of his income is going to be paying maintenance for a long, long time. New York has developed certain formulas with regards to maintenance, where it is percentages with regards to your income. It's calculated in a certain manner. But what I will tell you is the length of your marriage determines the length of your maintenance. And for those husbands who encourage their wives not to work in a divorce proceedings, you are going to get hit really hard. And you're going to end up spending a substantial amount of monies in maintenance, provided, of course, the formula results in a sum that you have to pay. Not everybody is going to be in maintenance. You can be in need, but if your spouse doesn't have the ability to pay, it's not going to happen. And I remember this lady, she was my adversary. She didn't have an attorney and she was in a wheelchair. And I think she was on disability. But what the situation is that when she was good, she was good. When she worked, she was making over 100,000, and at that time that was a lot of money. 100,000 now is not much money, and she was the breadwinner. But one of the things you have to realize is people who they have addictions, but when your addictions manifest itself where now you're getting sick, you know, anyone who has been around someone with an alcohol problem, a drug problem, any sort of addiction, yeah, where now later on it becomes a physical manifestation, and she became very ill, and she ended up in a wheelchair. And her mindset was, because she supported him for years, yeah, now that she is on hard times, he should support her. So there's a need for the maintenance, but there's an aspect to this, whether or not the person has the ability to pay, and he did not, right? He was always the underdog in the marriage, and when they separated, his income did not increase anywhere much. So unfortunately, she didn't get the maintenance. And this woman came to the trial with about 30 pills as to what she was taking, to, I guess, emphasize the reality of her situation, that there is a need. Everybody saw the need, but your spouse has to have the ability to pay. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. And unfortunately for her, she got nothing, and she thought I was the most wickedest person on this world, because I was able to assist her husband in not paying maintenance. But the story is not as simple as she thought it was. Yeah, there are certain requirements that you have to meet. It is not an automatic thing. If it is after going into the formula, there's just not the ability to pay. You're not going to get anything. It is what it is. All right, so we're coming shortly towards the end of the program. I want to encourage some of you in your marriages. You have to know what is going on. A lot of you don't know where your marital funds are being spent. And this, in fact, does not benefit you, where you have no idea where monies which are earned in the marriage are, in fact, being spent. Let's look at some marital waste, yeah, where a spouse is wasting monies. Paying on that extramarital affair. That's considered marital waste. Paying child support for children who were conceived during the marriage, and it's not the party's children, just one of the parties who stepped out on the marriage. Yeah, in your divorce, you can seek to recoup some of that monies, right? Paying on hotels, complete waste. These are not things that are normal expenses to facilitate the day-to-day existence of your marriage. And I find that a lot of people do not know what's going on in their marriages. And for those of you who intend to save your marriage, you have to be vigilant. And I think you should know, look at everything for me often is disclosed in the bank statements, right? You see payments to on hotels, trips. The wife don't she does not know anything about this, right? Because especially where your spouse works outside the home and they have to travel for their job, this lifestyle facilitates stepping out on your marriage without your spouse knowing, right? But some people will exercise their intuition, and in seeing the hotel receipts, all of this is marital waste, which you should be able to recoup in the divorce, right? So you should get a credit. Probably you get they have wasted so much marital funds. You get a credit with regards to, let's say, probably your husband who has spent so much money on the marital funds should get a lesser interest in the house, because that money's could have been used in the home. So you're wasting it on things that does not support your marital contract. So as a result, in a divorce, you should seek to recoup some of that monies. But it is what it is. I have had clients where they just don't care, they just want out. And in divorcing, some people will let things go, such as certain addictions, such as gambling debts. You should be able to recoup all of that monies that your spouse has wasted. Yeah. But some judges look at it differently. And it's like, you sat in this marriage, he's not going to go back for years where you have lived your life a certain way and you didn't cry about certain things. I had a case where one of the spouses was a pastor, and I think over $70,000 was being spent by that pastor calling a psychic. Now, I would think if you are a pastor, the only psychic you should have in your life is God. But $70,000 was spent. And my client didn't even know all of this. That all this monies was being spent. Other than, of course, the money spent on the designer clothes. Had no idea. And it was the judge's determination that he sat in that marriage. And she's been calling the psychic for years. And she's not going to give him back any of that money. That to me was just amazing. Yeah? But it is what it is. You have to watch how your spouse is spending the marital funds. It's very important, especially where you are the breadwinner, because as the breadwinner, you're the one who really suffers in a divorce. The best time to go and get divorced is when you're broke. That's the best time. You really have nothing to give anyone. Yeah? When you're the high roller in the marriage and you're getting a divorce, you're truly going to pay, whether it be maintenance, the division of your assets, you know. Some people, however, no matter how much their spouse has, they don't care. They want out. And that is something I could understand, where if you are at a point, you don't even care what they have, you know. And I said to my client, in his retirement is he has over $1 million. And I think she has like 100,000. And I said, why is it that you did not make a claim? She was at the point where she didn't care. And for some people, peace of mind is priceless. Let him have his monies. I can survive. I'm at a place where my income can sustain me and my kids. I don't care. And that is, in fact, for some people. All right. So it is what it is. What can I tell you? Uh, so we have here now, Nicola is saying that Suzette has a question. And I'm not seeing, let me see. What if a person gives up their right to your pension? Yeah. If someone in the divorce proceedings give up their right to your pension, that's it. You get to keep your pension. You know, you don't have to give it up, because whatever you earn during the marriage in your retirement assets. I don't know what's going on with my ear. Whatever you earn, right, during your marriage with your retirement assets, that money is in fact subject to division. But some people will walk away because their peace of mind is in fact priceless. They don't care about pensions. But this is what I say to some of my clients. You may be healthy today. You really and truly you don't know what the future holds for tomorrow. And seeing how things are now and how expensive things, just going into the supermarket, I'm looking at the pantry, the food pantry lines. People are struggling. Yeah. And I caution them, be very careful how you decide to walk away with this, because remember, the older we get, you face certain challenges. Challenges such as in applying for jobs, age discrimination, right? We come to a certain pinnacle in life where after a while, unless you're at the same job, the income for some people, despite years of experience, because oftentimes for corporations, it is cheaper to take on someone who is younger because they can pay them less, right? And this happens. So oftentimes your income, it's either fixed, unless, like I said, you're at the same job, so you keep getting your raises. Just be very careful how you walk away from that payment where you could have gotten monies to sustain you. But some people, they don't care. They just sign off, take your pension. And oftentimes, if it is that you have a pension and it is a similar payout, then it's like a wash. There's no need to claim in your spouse's pension, right? Because some spouses think it's only the other spouse's pension is up for grab. All parties' pension is subject to distribution. Once it's marital, that's it, right? So I hope that answers your question, Suzette. All right. So good morning, Christopher. Good morning, Sharon. So Sharon is saying Happy Father's Day to all the dads. So Suzette is asking, can they come back after the divorce and change their mind? If you have had a full hearing, I'm not talking about a divorce where it's on default, right? If you've had a full hearing where people sign off on stipulations of settlement, once you sign, right? And I would encourage nobody that should go ahead and sign without reviewing the document, understanding the legal ramifications of signing on the stipulation. Once you sign that stipulation waiving someone's pension, you're not going to come back because you're allocated often on the terms of the stipulation, right? Did you review it? Did you review it with your attorney? Do you understand it? Did you, when you're here today coming to for this allocution, did you take any drugs or alcohol which will affect your ability to understand what is going on here? Or were you required to take any medication this morning and you did not take it? You know, are you satisfied with the representation provided by your attorney, right? And oftentimes the judges will say, not most, but some will say, having entered into this agreement, you can't come back to say that you want to change your mind. So For people who have entered into stipulation of settlements, no, they can't come back. Those agreements are binding and it is hard to set it aside, right? For those who have defaulted their spouse, especially if the spouse was not served, that spouse often will come back just for the financials to claim an interest. So in those situations, yeah, they where it's a default, they weren't served, they're gonna come back. And you think, okay, I've gotten the house, they will come back. So my thing is do it right, serve them, make sure they get the paperwork so they are absolutely not coming back for your assets, right? It is what it is. Okay, so it's 10:03. It is Father's Day. Oh, let me just do this announcement quickly. So in a week or two, I am going to be on a station, but it won't be for legally speaking, right? It's going to be like a family program. I invite you all to listen. Unfortunately, it's just going to be in the Bronx and Westchester, but they have an app. So as things progress, I will let you know which station it is. And the reason for that program is because I just feel, I think people have come here, their values have changed, they have absolutely lost their way. So in coming and having this program, it's more so a family oriented program, and it is in support of people who they do believe in family and they are looking forward to move as a family unit. And I just believe we have to encourage the younger generation when they take a look as to what is happening now. There's no encouragement for these children to be settled, to find a partner, get married, establish a family unit. So it's more so, and it would be an interactive program where you can call in, share your life experiences, give guidance. It's a way to help our community and to be more grounded in our family lives, because I truly believe that a lot of people have come here and they have lost their culture, they have lost their way, and this is a place, if you don't have a support system, it's going to be hard to continue and to hold on to that family unit. So it's going to be on a Sunday, and I am gearing for 11 o'clock. So it will be on a radio station as opposed to YouTube, and you're all welcome to come, give your thoughts, join in. It's going to be a very interactive program, and we're going to be focusing on family. All right. So during the upcoming episodes, I'll give you further details on it. All right. So it is 10:06, and I am going to end the live. I think Suzette says, hopefully next week you can expand on child Biden's new immigration plan. Yeah, I see that. So getting shut down in the court system. But let's see. I I will, yeah, next week I will focus on it. But I do see a lot of lawsuits coming. Yeah. All right. So take care. Enjoy your Father's Day. Greetings again to all the fathers. I hope that your family will make this truly a special day for you. Enjoy and stay safe. Stay blessed.